Dan, as we continue to delve into your background, the next major group that we saw should be represented today is the Colorado Chorale, with which we had such deep and long involvement. So the Colorado Chorale, we get 2 for 1, and we're going to hear from Scott and Deb.
We're so happy to be here to honor Dan and Billy for 18 years at Bethany and for 50 years as a church partner. 35 of those years, Dan also directed the Colorado Chorale, and we have both had the privilege of singing under Dan's direction throughout, as well as in the church choir.
When we were asked to say some words about Dan and Billy and their Colorado Chorale career, we realized there were a lot of things we couldn't talk about in church setting. We also thought about how Dan has led and behaved exactly the same in the church choir as he did in the almost.
For example, anyone who has ever sung with Dan is familiar with the 12 count. It's an exercise where Dan tells us to put our hands on our kidneys, breathe in deeply, and then shout out syllables on the exhale.
Well, that might be a good breathing exercise. We suspect that Dan really just enjoyed watching singers try to find the kidneys, which are right here, I have to ask. And then make fools of themselves grunting on their side.
And we've always enjoyed Dan's programming. He has an uncanny talent for choosing just the right piece of music for the occasion and the time and place.
You mean such as the audience favorite at Christmas time, Landlord, fill the flowing bowl with wassail before it doth run over.
Yes, that's one of the songs we sang at DIA at Christmas time. Our mission was to keep the atmosphere calm, lively, happy, to relieve tension of holiday travelers. And in the song we sing, "For tonight will merry, merry be, tomorrow will be sober."
Dan always knew exactly what he was singing for, such as at the departure dates for the flights to Salt Lake City. In addition to his excellent programming, he was also excelled at casting just the right person in the right role in our musical together.
We had a 40-year-old woman be Tevye's youngest daughter and Fiddler on the Roof. And we had a 7 months pregnant Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. One of my favorite memories of chorale musicals is when the chorale did Grease. And the show-stopping number to me was Greased Lightning. It was quite a production. A car actually drove onto the stage, and then the men's chorus came out. Well, some of the men at that time in our group were 20-ish, 30-ish, and up. And some weren't. And here they all come. Dan, with his white t-shirt rolled up, his blue jeans rolled up, singing, "Go Grease Lightning, go Grease Lightning." Billy kept her beat during that whole thing. I don't know how she did it.
Speaking of performing musicals, we should mention the influence of Dan's 20-year naval career on our choreography. And I might ask, would that career influence choreography? When it came to choreography for Dan, the motto was, "When in doubt, march."
One of our earliest endeavors, he was trying to get us organized, and it was new to us, new to him, and he fell into his military training. And there were a group of women, and he asked us to stand 6 abreast. And we're not going to share all the comments that were made earlier.
He used that more than one time. He still uses his persuasive power to teach us choreography. Just a couple of weeks ago, he was trying to get us to sing and simultaneously clap off the beat. You'd think the choir would get the beat, but we didn't do very good.
It is a Lutheran choir, after all.
What's remarkable is how patient and calm Dan always is as we struggle to get it. However, there are a few stories about Dan kicking over music stands, or retreating to sit on a stool against the wall with arms crossed, and breathing fire. We have all been so fortunate to enjoy Dan and Billy's talents as musicians, leaders, and directors. When Dan retired as artistic director of the Colorado Chorale, he mentioned some of the highlights of his tenure, such as the chorale's performances at Bethany Concert Hall, in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, and at the Colorado Music Educators Convention at the Broadway. He also expressed pride for the success of performances of many choral masterworks, with various multicultural concerts including gospel, Native American, Spanish, Russian, and Hebrew, and for the program Letters Home, a program of music from times of war throughout American history, interspersed with quotations from soldiers' letters sent home, which raised several $1,000s to support the families of troops at Fort Carson. And most especially, he said he cherished and shared credit for everything with his most talented wife, partner, Billy.
Of course, in every group that Dan has directed, he is admired for his professionalism and for the excellent quality he's able to get from singers and instrumentalists alike. He and Billy have always lived their faith and created a loving and giving sense of community in any groups they have led. They know every member, make hospital visits, listen to our problems and complaints, respond with concern, support, and friendship, and warmly welcome everyone to their home for fellowship and celebration. They have always had a way of making each of us feel special and appreciated. To Dan and Billy, from all of us, we say thank you. We love you and wish you a long and happy retirement.
Thank you.